Hello, world. You're listening to Eleanor Wagner's Strange and Scary World here on the Paranormal UK Radio Network, where we're always creeping it real. I'm your host, Eleanor Wagner.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed our soundtrack music performed by Silent Crafter's Stranger Part 2 off the Stranger Part 2 album. Welcome all to my paranormal closet, where the stories and magic take place. Today's guest is a psychic, astrologer, Reiki Master, and empath. She's been an astrologer for over 30 years, having performed over 10,000 readings. Her resume includes writer, who authored a syndicated column, and speaker who hosted her own radio and television show. Join me in welcoming Carol Starr.
Hi.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. Can we start off, please, by you describing how you discovered you had these extrasensory abilities?
Sure. And of course, I was about 11 years old or 12, and I didn't know what they were. But it started out really first with empath feelings about people. And usually when you're 11 or 12, you're just concerned about your friends, your clothes, your stuff. But I noticed that my good friend, her mother didn't treat her right. She wasn't nice. She didn't pay attention to her. And I went home and told my mother, I said, Alice's mother just doesn't treat her very well. And I thank my mother for always listening to me. And as far as, psychic ability is a very strange thing. And the thing is that we all have it. It's there. It's inside. And sometimes I don't do names, dates, and places. Some psychics can say, oh, on February 4th, you're going to meet someone. I don't do that. I get a feeling, like by looking at you or talking to you, or out of the blue. Like a very good example, I have a friend who's an actor. She's been wanting to have a series so badly. And she's been in her trade probably 10 years and nothing's happened. So we were talking about it a little bit. And I said, well, you're going to get that offer in a couple of weeks. And of course she did. So I thought, wow, I have to believe my own press release now from now on. Yeah. And also my chiropractor, who I just saw one time, he was so bent over, broken up about relationship. I said, well, next week you're going to meet someone new and you'll forget about her. He called me to tell me it happened. So I get these feelings. It's not a stream. Okay. And I think that a lot of psychics I hate to say this, there's some wonderful psychics out there, but it's easy to play a game. Okay, I just looking at you and I'll say, well, you've really had a rough time for the last few weeks. Well, God, haven't we all? You think back, I guess I've had a rough time. And I see that you have somebody in your life who is really disturbing you. Well, I don't know about you, but I got a lot of people in my life disturb me all the time. So you can play the role. And I am on a psychic hotline, okay? And I have sometimes just 3 or 4 minutes to come up with answers. And I just hear their voice. I hear the problem. I know what's going to happen. I don't know why the words just come right out. And I get reviews telling me, thanking me for my advice. It worked out. I have yet to have anybody say to me, you were wrong. So I'm really grateful for that. But I don't tell them that anything I feel is not real. It's so easy when you're in this position to be real positive. Oh, yes, you're going to meet somebody. This is great. I really use my language carefully. I have to. And I say, I know you're going through a bad time and I want to help you get through this bad time. Yes, this gentleman will come back in your life in one form or another. And they always do. And I said, but think about whether you want this relationship. It is not a happy one. Make sure you want. So I try to pour onto them what they're doing with their lives. So that's that. I could go on forever, but I just take a break here and listen to you.
When you mentioned that you were 11, our journeys are very similar. I guess my first question before I share my own personal journey is, when you were 11 and that happened to you and you discovered, wow, I have something, did you start to progress and educate yourself at 11, or how did your journey take a different?
No, I was always interested in the planets. I used to study the solar system and all the planets. I was fascinated with that. Little did I know I'd become an astrologer someday. And here's the joke about astrology. I just have to tell you. Everyone said, oh, I don't believe it. It's this or that. All it is the physical part of astronomy, reaching to people. It's very simple. We are part of the universe. I'm a Reiki Master. and I can do a remote on you. I don't have to see you or talk to you. I can call you on the phone and say, AK, Eleanor, I'm going to give you a treatment. And you lay down, the phone's off, and I work on like a teddy bear, and you will feel me with your hands and feel better. And I believe that energy is around us all the time. And I didn't know I was really psychic or empathic until I was much older. I was, but I didn't label it. The baby is going to be 5 pounds and 10 ounces, and you're going to have it Wednesday. And she would. But I didn't think that was so remarkable.
Yeah, I feel like it just came naturally that people would just venture to me and start spewing things out, spilling their guts, and these messages for them and this advice would just come naturally to me. And I would just give it to them and trust it and not know where it came from. It just did. And like you, I didn't have a name for it until a few years ago. But
That's exactly same thing.
I really have had to trust my gut more, because if I don't trust my gut, then I make decisions based on other things and they come out wrong. So I need to know that what my gut is telling me, that instinct, that inner voice, that spirit, whoever it is, that spirit guide, I need to trust that they're the ones that are telling me. But when I was 11, it was similar to you because I was having premonitions in dreams. And at first they were silly things. I would have a premonition that I was going to buy a certain pair of shoes, and I saw exactly what they look like and forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, it was almost like a deja vu moment. It started at first, and then it started with dreams of things that would happen, and then they did. But the scary part of it was that I had a very traumatic dream and woke up in a nightmare, and I told my mom. And my mom, not that she wasn't a believer, but she was more of kind of like, let's sweep it under the rug. It was just a dream. Don't worry about it. And so with that scary dream, she said the same thing. It was just a dream. It was a scary one. It was a nightmare. Don't worry about it. And then all of a sudden it came true. And that just scared the bejesus out of me as an 11-year-old child, thinking, oh my God, I could have done something about it. Obviously, I could not have. But in that child's mind, I was responsible for not doing something about it. So I kind of shut down. And it wasn't until I was 30 that I had a reawakening when my dad died. It was the day that he died. And he came to me when he died and told me he was gone. And that was just like an aha moment. Okay, you really do have something going on here. You're not crazy. And you need to take the bull by the horn and learn whatever you can to do whatever it is that you need to do with this gift. And so that was probably, I guess, the start of it. And it was late in life. I was 30, and I was a sponge for any kind of education on the subject to try and find where the spirits and the guides wanted me to go, what my journey was going to be.
Yours was more definite. But, I remember I was with my first husband. We were watching Billie Jean King play tennis, and he's a dentist. And there was a phone that they called Dr. Pozo. There's a call for you. And I thought, my dad died, and he did. Oh. And it could have been a patient. It could have been anything but that. But I knew he had died. And that's more like what I do. I have seen holograms of my sister and my mother. I have seen that just for a split second. They'll come up. And also, if you want to talk about it, I can tell you about how I got a channeler to talk to my mother.
That was going to be my question. I was going to ask, are you able to communicate with your loved ones who have passed on? So that was something that I wanted to discuss with you. Please do.
No, I can't. But what happened was, it was to about 3 years after she died, and things started happening in the house. Pictures got slanted, extra cups were a lot of things. So I had a gift basket business then, and I had to deliver a basket to the occult bookstore. It's funny how life is. So I said, do you know anybody who talks to the dead? Oh, no, we don't. She called me back an hour later. The woman just overheard her on the phone, and she had come in there. And she said,
no coincidence.
Yes, tell a person to give me a call. And I don't charge. So I knew that was, she came to my office and she saw these pictures of cats on the wall. And she said, oh God, your mother hates cats. So, yeah. So then she started talking to my mother, and she said, my mother's really angry that she's being called upon to talk. I said, oh, but she said she really feels bad that maybe she worked really hard to be a good mother to me and my sister, and she knew that it was tough. But the thing that really got me, she told the lady that I when I was at the store to buy a frame. And I had a store I used to go to called McFrugal's, and they had frames and all kinds of, and I bought for my gift basket business. So I grabbed a frame, and she said, tell her she'll know what picture to put in it and to put a rose in front of it. So I just happened to pick the frame up, not for my mother. I forgot about that. And I took it, I remembered, and there was the picture and it fit right in. And I had a gold rose because I had all these gold different fruits and stuff like that. To my day, my mother is still with the picture with the rose in front in that frame.
Aww.
And that was a lot of years ago. And then she said, those goddamn doctors don't know what they're talking about. It was like my mother was in the room. And she said, I don't want to go on to heaven because I can't stand my family. I thought, I know, it was just really. Then she came back years later. And this is real weird. I think at the time we got robbed, or I can always get the sequence. He went on a motorcycle ride, came back, couldn't find his wallet, looked all over, went back to the store. It was gone. Okay. So he had to go get a brand new wallet, with all his cards and stuff like that. And in the meantime, we were robbed and he was without a wallet. So that day, you're not going to believe this one. I took my purse, I was dumping it out to get something, and the wallet was sitting on top, the original one from several months before. It had never been in my purse before. And so he got to use his old wallet because the new one had been stolen. So other than that, my mom I don't think she's been back. I haven't felt her. I haven't felt anything weird. Maybe she did go on to heaven, that she felt comfortable to move on. I kind of feel that she was wonderful mother to me in my childhood, but very difficult as an adult. She had a lot of issues that affected my life, but not when I was young. So to me, I am grateful for that we had a good relationship. And then she just got so inappropriate. She just did stuff. And it was so hard for me to maintain a relationship with her. And the night that she died, she called me. She never called me. And she called me back and she said, Carol, did you hang up on me? I said, no, I'd never do that. We'll talk tomorrow. So I had my last words with her were very peaceful, and she died that night.
My mom, my dad, they were both immigrants, hardworking. They were never the type of people to say, I love you, but you knew that they loved you.
Not like today, huh? Not like the immigrants today.
That was one of the things I started before, when my dad when he discovered he had cancer. That was one of the things I started saying, I love you, because we never did that before. I mean, I knew they loved us, but it wasn't something that was said. So I started the trend of saying, I love you. And I said, I'm going to do it with my kids. And it's what we do, hello, I love you. Goodbye, I love you. We say it all the time because I think it's so important. But for my dad to come to me the day he died was really very poignant for me, because I never expected it. And it was great to have that story to share with everybody at his funeral and his wake. The one person I would have figured would have came to me as soon as she could would have been my mom, because she was the one I had the closer relationship with as a child. There was a very big separation in age between my siblings and I. I'm the youngest, but there's 8 and 11 years between me and my two sisters. And so I really was, I was really like an only child almost, because they were already grown up and my older sister was already out of the house by the time I was.
You were the baby.
Yeah. So by the time I was married and had children, my mom was already done. She'd had it. She raised all her other grandkids. It was like, oh, I got more grandkids coming. She was all about living her best life in her senior years and was very social and involved. Really felt like I was a little slighted as far as the grandparent involvement in my children's lives. And having moved in our way made it even more difficult, because she was very involved in her community. And
right.
But I still feel like she would have been the one that would have came to me when she died. And it wasn't as if I didn't feel her around me, but I wanted more than that. And I remember this one time, because now that I've been involved with the paranormal these last 5 or so years, I've gotten to know a lot of people in the field, and a lot of them are mediums, and they're very sensitive, and they've helped me to grow with my gifts as well. But they get messages. And one day, one of them said to me, I was meditating last night, and you need to call me tomorrow morning when you're on your way to work because I need to talk to you about something because you came up and I got messages for you. And I was like, oh, okay. So in the morning, I phoned her as soon as I could, and I'm driving to work and I have the car phone on, and I'm like, what happened? She said, I really don't know if this is going to mean anything to you, but I got names, and I don't really always get names. And when I do, I'm excited about it. She said there were these two women there, and the one woman's name was very odd, but does the name Erna make sense to you? ERNA. And I had to pull over to the side of the road and stop the car because I was like, my goodness, that's my mom's name. I mean, how many people do you know with the name Erna, ERNA?
No,
And
I don't know.
nobody knows my mom's name. I don't think it's even out there. So I was floored, and I'm like, yeah, that's my mom. And at the time I was going through some really emotional issues and unsure about the choices that I was going to make, and really wished that I had those motherly help, the mother's helpfulness between my mother-in-law and my mother. And so then she goes, and the other woman that was there, who was kind of standing and nodding her head and kind of like in support of Erna, her name was Agnes. And I tell you, I nearly shit my pants because I was like, what? Agnes is my mother-in-law's name. So here was my mother-in-law and my mother together in heaven, sending this message to me that you're making the right decisions. You're on the right track. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. And it was at a time that I really, really needed it. And I've been waiting for something from my mother for years. My mother-in-law has come to me before. She came to me on the night that she died as well, which I kind of expected, though, because she and I had these conversations before where she said, if I can, I'm going to come and I'm going to let you know. And she did. So it was really cool to get that message from my mom, too, because I didn't expect it,
So, no, I think that there is a whole dimension out there in life that we can't see, feel, smell, whatever, or sometimes we do. And I think most people don't believe in it. But if you notice in the last few years, where do you live, if you don't mind my asking?
I live in New Jersey, northern New Jersey in the country.
Okay. I just noticed in the last 5 years, or I'm going to say around that the word spiritual has become part of our vocabulary. And I think we're just living in really tough times right now. And this is not a political statement. I know we do not talk politics at all, but we know that we're living in wartime. We're living in inflation. We're living in a lot of issues that are out there that we're not addressing properly. And the country is really in bad shape. I don't care how you look at whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. We're all feeling this unrest. It doesn't matter. And so I think that I just noticed it because I used to do readings for usually women over 40 and 50. My age group now is Generation X and beginning millennials. They know their sun, moon, rising, but they don't know how to interpret a chart, except that they order it online, and I tell them not to do that because it's too basic, and you're going to be either elated or depressed by what you read because it's not accurate. And I just find that, I belong to two sites. That I belong to Thrills, and I belong to also Everclear. And both of them started having spiritual readers. That's why I got on them. And also, if you're familiar with Cameo, that is
I'm not, no.
Celebrity messaging service, and they'd asked me to join. But I've been with one. I belong to too many, and I just want to try to focus on a few of them. And so they have spiritual readers. I don't know how well the others do. And I, of course, a psychic. They're psychics and tarot card readers and all the likes and everything. And people would rather get some help than eat today but we're really suffering today.
Do you see things improving?
Not for a while. No, I don't. I
didn't think so.
I think that I have these feelings. I was projecting to somebody what our life is going to be like in 10 years. I know exactly what's going to happen. I see it. And I think it's pretty scary.
Tell me, I want to hear.
Okay, number one, we're going to have cars that are above the road, right? Okay, they're going to go up and right above the road. And I don't think they're all going to be electric, but let me tell you why. Because I think that they haven't solved the problems on electric cars because of the stations. They're all run by gas or electricity. And if everybody had an electric car, they couldn't do it. There's going to be some new technology beside electric cars that is going to do that. I don't think meat, chicken, fish, and all that. I think the fish are going to be depleted. And I think that all of our food is going to be genetically engineered. I do, in 10 years. And the very rich people will find a lobster somewhere or find a steak somewhere. But the farms are going to be going down. They're not being supported. We're going to have blackouts. That's going to be like part of like the COVID back, like that. We're going to have blackouts at here once a week, twice a week. It's going to be part. Oh dear, we're having another blackout, and we'll get to accept that because the country's on overload. And I'm also concerned. One of the things is that our military doesn't have proper equipment, and I'm really concerned the country could be taken over. It is being taken over. We know that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so everyone says, well, the younger generation will learn to adjust to it. I said, no, it's not that simple anymore. It isn't that simple. The world is we are losing freedom of speech. There will be no freedom of speech. And we have that, as we know now, we know what's happening to people if they open their mouth up. I'm concerned about what I write on emails. I erase them. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I think that changed our life is Facebook. I think that beside the internet and all the stuff that's out there, Facebook has changed our attitude in friends and family and life. And I don't want to say not in a good way or not in a bad way, but we know pretty much it's been. So I see our life, and clothes, so expensive, we'll have just a couple things to wear. Or maybe go back into making our own clothes again. We're going to kind of do some reversing. We're going to grow our own vegetables, our own fruits. We're going to have to do it more and more and more in order to survive. Well, I don't know about you. You go to the grocery store, and every week you go, you think,
my food bill has doubled. We actually did a tally on it, my husband and I. It has doubled in this year, and I just can't believe, because to eat healthy is far more expensive than you can buy the crap and get away with it. But I have medical conditions. My husband does too. We want to keep our bodies healthy and clean. So we like to eat clean, and it's costing us a fortune, and it's pretty sad. So we, like you said, fresh vegetables, having your own garden, doing whatever you can in preparation is really very, very wise, because
I'm going to do one vegan meal a week. I told my husband, we're going to have one vegan dinner a week because we eat fish and we eat health. Really, I wrote a couple books actually on staying healthy.
Oh, nice.
And I have always been an advocate of no junk food and food with preservatives. And I'm going to say 90% of the time we eat super healthy, and we all go off. I mean, I'm not a zealot. I mean, I will eat a piece of pizza and I will have ice cream sometimes, but very little and not very often. I just feel like I feel better if I eat healthy, and I look better, and I just see a lot of obesity out there. I mean, huge. I don't mean 10, 15 pounds overweight. I'm talking about huge.
Yeah.
People, and the young, it's the young ones, when they put these shorts on and they waddle. Yeah. So if I put on 5 pounds, I feel I have to go into depression.
I know. And you know what it is? It's because they're so immobile. They're sitting on their computers and on their phones, and they're not exercising, and they're buying food that's not healthy, and it's just processed and consuming it constantly. That's going to add to the obesity problem.
A treat. I would say our percentage of produce a day is about 60% or 70 even. Yeah. And I just cook a lot of vegetables. We eat a lot of vegetables, eat a lot of fruit. And
my
husband does my grocery shopping. He'll come home and it's all fruits and vegetables. I might ask for a couple of extra things because that's the way we eat. But I do tell him I love steak. I got to tell you, it goes on sale once in a while. And I said, go buy it. He said, we have some in the freezer. I said, but it may not happen for a long time. Please buy me some.
Yeah.
That's my weakness.
I get that.
Yeah.
Well, I live in the country, as I mentioned to you, and there are a lot of farms around here, and people are buying animals because of that fear of the prices skyrocketing and them not being able to get what it is that they need. So it's definitely a scary world that we live in.
It is, and it's getting scarier.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel sort of blessed that I'm not a young person today, honestly. I feel like we're going to be fine. We're basically retired, other than my work, of course. And we're going to be fine. We're not going to be affected by all of this stuff. Okay. Because there's just so much stuff going on. And we could sit here for hours and talk about all the things that are happening in our life. So you have to find your peace. So one of the things I always do when I do a chart reading or I do a reading, I say, would you like your own manifestation? So I make up a manifest for them. And I tell them to write it 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. That's the lucky numerology sequence. And I
3,
said,
6, 9.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, always start out with, I love and approve of myself, or I love and I'm a good person. And then as I am making more money to pay our bills today, I am feeling healthy, whatever it is. I said, you have to say it till you believe it. And also I do recommend tapping. Are you familiar with tapping?
I'm not, no.
Oh my God, when we get off today, go look it up. TAPP.
Okay.
It's the shot. You have 8 places you hit. And you say something, I love and accept myself. I know I'm feeling worried and upset today. And you do that, and you do gratitude. Then I do a lot of things. I start my day with the tapping. It's called EFT. So you're going to like it. It's simple to do. And someone like me who has a lot of anxiety and worry, it really kind of grounds me for the day. I always tell people, and I'm using this word because it may be exaggerated, but everybody has their own personal hell. If you know, we all have something in our life that is like glue that sticks to us, that hasn't worked or doesn't work, and we have to learn how to live with it. And it might change, but there's always, the only truly happy people I know are on Facebook. And they have beautiful marriages and beautiful lives and everything's perfect. And then they get off and they get divorced. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
I think facing up to your problems and your issues is so important. And I tell people that when I'm doing readings. And I get a lot of really, really good reviews on my astrology readings because I tell them, this is all about you. This is not about your chart. It's about you and your chart. Let's make you more confident, more courageous. Let's work out your relationships. Whatever it is they tell me they want, that's what I give them. And so it becomes a very personal thing. And of course, a lot of my psychic feelings have kind of intermixed with all that astrology stuff too, and my empathic nature.
Tell me, why go to an astrologist rather than a psychologist?
Okay, you can go both. Psychologists are wonderful. This is a one-shot deal. This is about you. This is not about what you should be doing or your mother beat you up when you were 10 years old. This is about your spirit. Let's work on your spirit. What is it that you want in life? You're unhappy with your job. Let's figure out what kind of work you would be best in, what you need to do. And I even tell them, I'll give them references on, I want you to look up this person, go here online and you'll find some answers. I make it a whole thing. This is not just about, I went to a therapist last year, every week for about a year. I had an issue that's been with me for 15 years. And I finally found out what caused it. And I'm still not happy about it, but I know.
I'm sure that was a relief.
Pardon? Yeah. Well, it wasn't a very good solution, but I found out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I had a child who has not spoken to me for 14 years. And I found out why. And it was so ridiculous and so meaningless to me. But this is the way it is. And so to sit there, and I got tired of talking about myself every week about the same thing over and over again. I figured I am graduated. I still have the problem. I still have the problem. And I can't change it. And I really can't change it. And I have to learn to live with it. And for the most part, I don't dwell on it or think about it or talk about it. So
probably best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I live with it, and I feel it was undeserving. I didn't do anything. It wasn't what I did, because I was a really good mother for my kids. But it's not. Here's the thing with bringing up kids too. It's not whether you're a good or bad mother. It's that what they perceive, and you don't know what they're going to perceive in you. Okay. And sometimes the worst parents become the most popular with their kids because they keep wanting more approval and they keep trying for it. They had my unconditional. So I got kind of
same
backlash.
Unconditional. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So you have children.
I do. I have two. I have a 23-year-old and a 26-year-old. And you're absolutely right when you say that there's no manual that comes with being a mother, but my children have had my unconditional love, and they may not always like the way they perceive me, but I've done the best that I can. And I think that they both know that, but it has not always been easy. Being a parent with your children is not always a piece of cake.
It is not, well, it's never. I mean, I was lucky with my kids. I had it easy. I had it really easy with them growing up. But there's been outfall since then, have had a lot of issues and problems with that afterwards. So sometimes I joke, I think I'm being punished for having it too easy when they grew up. They never yelled at me. They never got mad. They just were really good kids. We weren't overly strict. They had, everything was good for them. And they were, I mean, I had it easy. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't. I'd let you know. So
yeah, sure.
Right now I'm paying a price right now because of just the way life happened. Yeah. So
it's your life's journey, I guess.
It is. We have our paths in life, and sometimes they're discovered for us, and sometimes we discover them.
Right.
And I've had, I think I've had a lot of ADD in my life because I've had between 60 and 70 jobs and businesses in my life.
Oh my.
Yes, I've done it all.
I guess you were meant to be on your own. You were meant to do your own thing, I guess.
Yeah, and always, if it doesn't work out, I go on to the next one. I develop a product. Oh, didn't work. Try something else. But I've always been, what I'm doing now, it's always been there. And I've done charts and readings. Yeah.
So let me ask you, have you ever helped anybody with past lives?
I tell you what, I don't really, in astrology, there are several things on your chart that reveal your past lifetime. And it's like, okay, for example, the moon has a north node and south node. And the north node, whatever sign and house it is in, is your lessons in life and what you need to do positive for yourself. And there's also what's called the black Lilith of the moon, which is very scary to a lot of people. And it is about past lifetime. It's your deepest, rawest emotions that come out from past lifetime regressions. And I'm trying to think anything else there. Yeah, the part of fortune. This is your path in life, and it is developed from what you were in past lifetimes. I was regressed many years ago. You're going to love this. I was George Washington's mother. Just don't. And I was in the bed and I'm pounding on the bed. Get out of here, George. I don't like what you're doing. And years afterwards, I had somebody from, called the New Times in Phoenix. It's kind of the rag of odd stuff. He came to interview me. You're going to love this. And he wanted how astrology, I wasn't doing a lot of astrology. I was going through a divorce. And he must have had a tape recorder. Oh my God. I told him I was regressed with George Washington's mother. And I told him about my ex-husband carrying on with, I told him everything. Front page of the paper. There I was, still looking. The mother of the father of our country is going through a divorce. Oh my God. I know. It wasn't, my ex-husband was not at all happy about that.
He was probably livid.
Yes.
Oh,
so that was
my goodness.
Yeah. So this has been actually, I'm thinking about it today, and all of this has always been part of my life. Sometimes right now, I am so grateful at this time in my life to have these companies to work for, to be able to do what I love, and also to help people. Now, listen, I like getting paid. Don't get me wrong. We got to pay our bills, and I'm not so altruistic that I don't like getting paid for what I do. But that also tells me that people are willing to pay, which means they value what I do. So I wake up just excited about what I'm going to do for the day, every day, because I feel like this is a real calling for me. Now, many years ago, I did have a syndicated column I was on. I decided when I became an astrologer, I wanted to become well known. So I hired my best girlfriend to make phone calls saying she was my PR manager. So we did radio and TV, and then it just propagated itself. But then you get cold in the business. Every time you've got to keep, one radio station changes their format, the TV station changes, and if you can't replace it. So I had about 7 years of everything going really well. And then I had to kind of fight. And then I went into doing something else. And we moved away. I got remarried, moved away, things changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. Part of your resume. Something to take with you to the next place that you go, right?
Pardon? I'm sorry.
It's something to take with you to
Yes,
your
yes,
next venture
yeah,
because
right.
it's part of your history and your resume.
Yes, it is. And, you know, and I've just had such an interesting life. I do. And I think I have a joke about there's problems in your life. I call them man-made problems and things that just happen to you. And I got to tell you, probably 3/4 of mine are man-made. I created them all. I really did, just by who I am, not on purpose. But I've never taken the path of least resistance. I've always gone for whatever I want and tried everything I wanted to do and jumped into things. And sometimes I jump out just as fast. But I just feel like that I've been so lucky to have all these opportunities, stuff that I've done. And I haven't been successful. I've had probably 4 successes out of like 60 ventures, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't mind. I just,
If you still find joy in it and it's making you happy and you feel fulfilled, I guess that's the main thing. I mean, I never.
Don't you feel grateful? Real honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That you can help people when they are looking and searching and you know, and we can't, excuse me, I gotta take a sip here. We can't solve their lifelong problems and they are who they are, but we can give them some tools to work with that they can make their lives better.
I mean, to some people, what we do might seem minuscule. I mean, with me, I have paranormal investigations in people's homes and businesses because they reach out to me and they say, we've got something going on. Can you help us? So I've created this mission statement for my group. The first thing that we do is we're there for the spirit. We're there to get that acknowledgement to the spirit and find out what it is that they want told, that message they're trying to give us. And then if we can try and help them get into the light, that we will. But if they want to stay behind, our second part of that mission statement is to help those people whose lives were affected by this spirit, to maybe put them on a page where they can live amicably and in peace together instead of in fear. And then the third part of our mission statement is the group on a whole mentoring each other, helping each other in love and in peace and in growth and positivity. And I feel great having discovered this at 50. I never expected to start a whole new career using my gifts at 50 to help others. I'm also about historical preservation and teaching people about the history of the locations that I write about. So I feel like I've finally found my niche. And like you said, it might seem minuscule to other people, but it's fulfilling to me. And I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do. And that's,
you have a lot to offer. If you were here, I'd have you, I don't know, I'd find something interesting for you to do to learn more. I love it. I think that wonderful world of the unknown, supposedly, is so really known, you know, when you know it. I don't have the talents that you do. I couldn't probably go in and feel the spirits. That's not where my psychic ability is. Totally about listening to people's voices and the way they talk. Also, when I do astrology readings, I can tell the way they ask questions or tell me what's going on in their life. I know exactly what they're feeling.
That's great.
But I can't always, sometimes I'll have a feeling that something happened to somebody and it didn't. So I don't always go by my feelings. I feel like the psychic part, I have to say I'm a psychic because I do come up with stuff that I feel is unusual and that people want to know. So,
right.
But I don't have the talent, or I shouldn't say that. I haven't developed. I have a psychic friend who does all this stuff, and she said we all are psychic. That's the name of her podcast. And I think it is all there for us. And most of us don't want to take, it's about, I always find when I meet people, not my very closest friends, how lacking interest they are about what you do or what you feel. Yeah. And I know them 100 times better than they know me because I ask questions and I want to know about them and I have genuine interest. And they just want to talk about the card playing or shopping or the movie and I find that most people are like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, yeah. So when I have a friend, my good friends, we ask each other questions. We want to know what we're doing and we're interested. And I've gotten over being upset by this because I know this is just the way life is. And
you can't expect everybody else to be like you.
No,
for us, it's acceptance and faith, but we can't expect everybody else to be the same way.
And all kind of like this. They're just kind of, I call them they're going along like this, just kind of going
Very
through.
mundane,
Yeah.
just going through life.
Yeah. And that their big highs are going to a movie or taking a trip, which is fun, but they never really look into anything with great introspection. And my whole life is about
That's sad.
introspection.
That's really, really
Yeah.
sad. Like you, I have to just not let it get to me because I am who I am. I'm in control of me. And you
Right.
can't control everybody else. So
No, we can't. And I've obviously I understand that too. But sometimes and when somebody asks me a question, I get all excited. I think, oh, and like my neighbor next door, she's like one of my closest friends. I love her to death, but she doesn't have an emotional bone in her body, okay, at all. And so there's certain things we just don't talk about, but she's such a good friend. So we can't have all things from all people. But it is nice when I can sit down and we can talk about stuff like this, or we talk about what's going on in our lives. And I know if I mention my son to her, what happened, she just kind of, well, oh, you'll get used to it, or, get over, people don't understand.
no.
Those feelings of loss that we all have them in our lives. There's a loss.
And because we're empathic, we feel it 10 times worse than the normal average person would, because
Exactly.
we feel it
Absolutely.
totally. Yeah,
Correct.
it majorly affects us. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I found it so interesting to learn about you too, and about the things that you're able to do. And I think there's a lot more out there that people just don't want to buy into it or feel it or deal with it.
But like you said, they're also afraid of those people that lie and try and cheat people into believing something, because there are a lot of people that are that way. I wear my feelings I'm open book. It probably would be the best way to describe it.
Right.
And I really kind of no holds barred. I just kind of here it is. This is what you see is what you get. And I'm that kind of person that's very open and giving. And I'm always trying to help and include other people, but you can't expect people to be the same way. And you have to also fear and be careful with your trust, because you never know who it is that you're going to encounter that's going to try and take advantage of you.
I didn't even ask for your birthday today. How about that?
Oh, my birthday is February 22nd. I'm a Pisces.
So you're Pisces, yes. I'm married to a Pisces. I love Pisces people. I'm a Libra. And I just always get along really well with Pisces. And you're doing your perfect work,
Thank you.
Just your sun sign alone. Of course, there's a lot, that in order to duplicate your reading would take 25,000 years. That's how unique you are in astrology when I do a chart for somebody. And I always tell them that. So you're not just a Pisces, a Gemini, a Scorpio. There's moon sign, rising sign, planets, placements. There's a lot going on there.
Right.
But as far as your sun sign goes, you're doing your perfect work. I want you to you can live on that all day and enjoy that. But I said that to you.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just kidding.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I could spend my days 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, just doing what I'm doing and be perfectly content. Absolutely.
Yes, I have found too that if I was on the phone all day long or doing readings or working on doing some marketing, we all have to do a little promotion out there and keep things going. I'm perfectly happy. I have to go out to lunch and we do things socially, but I kind of like my room. I fixed it up. It was a mess before because I've had so many hand painted tote bags. I've done crazy stuff. So now I've got this bed for a guest room and my colors, which I love to have. And everything's so cozy and comfortable. And that new carpet, everything. So
it looks lovely.
I live in this room. I love it. I do. I love this room. And that's the chair back there where my cats tore up. So I have a throw over it. My cats love to destroy the house. Yeah. And, so life is good. But life is, no matter how good life is, it's never easy. A friend once said that to me. And I remember that comment and another comment that a friend said, I love this one. Sometimes no matter what a person says or does, you don't like them. And sometimes no matter what a person says or does, you do like them. It has nothing, how you just like somebody or you just don't like somebody.
Yeah.
And they can do everything they can to make you like them and it won't matter. Or they can do everything they can to try to get you to dislike them. You still like them. I think that there is something that is brought from past lifetimes or brought from some kind of chemistry that I will go to a party or I'll go somewhere and I thought, God, I like her. Or God, I don't like her. And I'm wrong sometimes. Sometimes I end up not 100%, but I would say I can trust that gut feeling pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also one of those people too that wants to be liked by everybody. I'm always trying to be that person, and when someone is not reciprocating, I can't understand what it is about me that they don't like.
Oh, I can't. Oh my God. We are soul sisters. Yes, I can't either. But here's the thing. What 99 people will think and love about you, there's going to be that 99% who is not going to, just because of all of those good things, is jealousy or they can't relate to it. But I never understand why.
Still breaks my heart. It just
I
breaks
know,
my
I know,
heart.
I love it. It breaks my heart too.
I'd be your best friend. I'd have your back. I'd be loyal. Why wouldn't you? You know, that's what I think.
And then some really not nice people that talk back to their friends and don't do stuff, and they just love them.
I know.
There's no rhyme or reason
what the
for
heck?
that. Yeah. We have to work on that one and figure out what's going on. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, do you ever have clients that ask you if you can tell them what their natural gifts and talents are? Like maybe they come to you and they feel like they've got something, they just don't know what it is, or you pick up on something for somebody and say, this is something that you don't know about or you should look into, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's it. First of all, I have someone who I dearly love. She calls me on my line. Oh gosh, I'd say I've spoken to her at least 10 or 11 times, and she had gifts and they've been taken away from her, and she wants to know.
Really?
And so I did some research on it, and I said, you're holding on to something in your life that you're not letting go of. But she said, I've let go. She had a husband who had a second life, and she didn't know about it. He had kids.
Oh.
They were his kids, but he was with somebody else.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And he died.
Double life. Wow.
He died in an accident, so she got double the insurance money. So that helped her in life.
Okay.
But I said, I put her onto meditating and doing a lot of stuff. And I said, this is something that is going to have to come back by itself. And maybe it's come back a little bit already, but it's gone. And she's really upset about it. And there really is there's no prescription to get that back.
That's sad.
I'd like to help her because I like her. I tell her, if I need somebody, I'm sending you a plane ticket. You're going to come and take care of me. Yeah. And of course I have to be really careful. I can't ever give out any information about myself, phone numbers or emails or anything. We're just not allowed to do that because that takes business away from the company. And interesting how I got that job is that I'm on TikTok. I'm an influencer. How about that?
Oh, I'm on TikTok too. Ooh, we should look each other up.
You gotta look me up, and I'll send you my link. I did a couple of videos. I thought it would be fun, and they didn't go very well. They did okay, 2,000-3,000. That isn't enough.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah, but I did one video, the most beautiful women of the zodiac, 3 million views.
Oh, wow. You go, girl.
Well,
that's great.
I was on Fiverr at the time where I did all my readings, and that was a big platform. And in 2 months, I got about 200. I did.
Okay.
That. And then I've developed it since then, and I'm doing well. Sometimes the algorithms are very unkind to me. But one of the good things about being an astrologer,
I don't understand that whole algorithm thing. Do you even understand that at all? I have no clue about it.
Here's the thing. I think I was going to say that I'm very lucky on there, is that when people go to my site, my page, they go through all my old ones because they want to know stuff about astrology, whereas other ones, they don't. And I'm going through a hot time right now where I'm getting several hundred new followers a day.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I need so many followers and so many comments and so many likes to get readings, because the company I work for is strictly dependent on TikTok.
I see.
They don't do any marketing for me. I have to do it all. So when it's been good, I'll get several in a row or something like that. Mm-hmm. So TikTok, the algorithms are, I don't know that anybody really understands them. If they did, if we have someone like Charlie, forgot her name. She's one of the first ones on there. She has 150 million followers and about 5 billion likes. She's a dancer. Wow. Yep. She now has her own TV show, and she makes about 4 million, 5 million a year on just TikTok.
Wow.
have enough.
Gee.
I don't have enough. I need about 20 or 30 more million. I only have 3 million likes. But I do well. And I do a live video every week on Saturday mornings, and that helps. But I think it depends what is out there and what are the words that are catching. And that's all I've tried to ask the experts, and they have all these answers, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes I do what I think is a crappy video. I think, oh, nobody cares about that. I got 2 million views on it. Then I have one, oh, hot topic, and maybe I get 10,000, which just sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot on there if you want to do it. But don't knock it for, are you on there?
Oh, I am, because being the author and the paranormal investigator, I have to market myself like you. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and I faithfully every Monday, Wednesday, Friday post those posts, and I'm always trying to put the hashtags the way I'm told to do them, and it is what it is. I get what I get. I mean, I'm trying my best, but I know that there's algorithms out there and I know nothing about it. So just kind of going with the flow.
Here, I'll write you my name, and then you can send me back your name on there so I can look you up, but we can follow each other.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
Like I said, I've gone through, I don't know whether I want to talk about this, but I've got a new market I'm going after. And I
did want to ask you, how can my listeners find you if they're looking for you? Tell us all the places that you are so that they can look you up.
Okay. And also, do you have them written down anywhere where you put the links on there?
You can send that to me.
Okay. Why don't I send you my links, and you can pick out which ones that would be super, would be help a lot.
Okay. No. Do you have like one main place that they can go to you?
I have two.
Okay.
Which is Everclear and Thrills. One I do the readings, one I do the phone calls. So they're very different from each other. And I have several other, but I don't want to get confusing. Or, you know what makes it easier too is they could just email me.
Okay. And your email is?
Is Libra Carol Astrologer at Gmail. Yeah, that's easy to remember. Libra Carol Astrologer So I'll write a few to you afterwards, and I'll give you my TikTok name. I'd like yours. And if I learn anything new about it, I'll let you know. But I do think, do you do live videos at all?
I do. I have a podcast, which you know that you're on today. This is the pre-recorded podcast, but I was notified by another network about doing a live show. So I do a live show
on TikTok every week.
Oh yes, I do. I do. Sometimes I do, not all the time. No,
you have to give people information. Like I get the questions coming in. They're all the same. I'm a Scorpio, and how do I get along with a Gemini? I'm a Pisces. How do I get along with a Libra? That 99%. So I quickly try to answer them, and I don't get a lot of new followers because these are my followers. So, but I talk about what I'm doing, and I ask them. I'll usually get a few readings from it. They'll go to one of my sites, and it's a slow process today, Eleanor, because there's so much out there. People are so confused. They're so overwhelmed by information that you have to stand out, and you have to be there. And I think I'm doing a mailing right now for marketing. I bought a mailing list of people who love astrology, and I'm sending them an email and offering them something free. I've sent out 200 and so far, and I got one response about someone who wants a chart. So I think that's fine. And I'll go back. I'm going to resend it, change the words over. It takes 6 or 7 times before they even notice it. When you
say the chart, is that the chart wheel?
Yes, that's the wheel.
Can you explain to the listeners? Can you explain to the listeners what that chart wheel is?
Well, first of all, just real quickly, sun, moon, rising are the power points of your chart. Sun sign, basic personality; moon sign, emotional personality, and also who you're attracted to. Rising sign, the way people see you. And the other planets are also influenced. The big part of your chart is your wheel. 12 houses. The first house is you, your personality, you, and who you are, and your demeanor. 2 is money, possessions, etc. 3 is communications, so on and so forth. They all represent. So we go through what's important to the person. Though I go through all the houses when I do a long chart. When I do one of my 10-minute charts, I just pick out the highlights of the chart. And it's always something that they're interested in. I'm really careful about that. And I talk fast, so they get a lot for their 10 minutes. Yeah. And I talk about the trends for the year. I tell them I'm not predicting your time, but this is a good year. Or this time with the planets retrograde, don't make any quick decisions. In October, you're going to find things are going to get, you're going to get unstuck. You're going to think things are better wherever house that's in or sign. Everything is geared towards you personally. And so, and that's what a chart is. That's a very quick rendition of chart, but I look at least 20 different things.
And I know that the birth date and the time and all of it, that's significant, if I remember correctly,
yeah, I
right?
need to have the birth time. Yeah, but I've done charts without a birth time.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I can do that. But I prefer when they have the birthday, the birth time, and the place is the most important thing. I can't do it without.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Time changes, daylight saving time, times in Europe, everywhere time is different. So sometimes someone born in one country might be a Pisces and the other one might be an Aquarius. If they're born at night.
That's so interesting. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Right. November 22nd,
I don't think anybody.
There's Scorpios, or you can be a Sagittarius because it changes.
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before in the past when I've had them do an astrology chart. I don't think they've ever asked me the place and the time frame. That's so, I mean, but that makes sense. It really does. In the past, when I've had people astrological charts, they've never asked me the place, and it makes so much sense why they would.
Yeah, you can't, without the place, you can't do a chart. You really can't. That's more important than the time.
Really?
And I did a funny thing. I used to be an entertainer too with astrology. Used to be very funny. And I changed, somebody thought he was a Sagittarius. And I did it in the group. I said, I want you to check Ron out in the back there. I turned him into a Scorpio. He's now got girls hanging around him, and he's wearing chains around his neck. His shirt's open. He's now a sexy Scorpio. No longer the simple Sagittarius. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And it does make a difference. You know, like January 20th, you could be a Capricorn or an Aquarius, depending on the year and depending on the time.
And you said you changed that for the man. How can you change that?
Oh, I found out he was really a Scorpio. I just
you just discovered.
Yeah,
I see.
I can change. If you want to be an Aquarius, I can change you. Me too. Yeah, I'm kidding.
I'm so happy being a Pisces. I'm not complaining at all. I love being a Pisces. I do.
Yeah. I love being a Libra. Nobody ever says anything bad about Libras. We're perfect. Well, not quite.
I really, really enjoyed our conversation today. It's just some people you get tense with when you're interviewing them, or you just get that vibe. But I felt very comforting and relaxed and really thrilled with our conversation today. I thank you so much for being on with me.
I love getting to know about what you do. So this is equal time. And I want you to check me out on TikTok, and we'll talk about that. And we'll encourage each other to rev each other to keep going with that, because it is
I would love that.
It's a wonderful platform. And you know what we could do? Let me tell you, we'll work it out on some Saturday. Once you follow me, you'll get an invitation, and then you can request to join me, and we can both do it together and have people.
Oh, that would be fun.
So we'll both get the credit. Yeah, we'll plan that some Saturday.
Thank you. I would like that very much. Yeah. I do feel that nothing is a coincidence. I feel that people come into your lives for a reason. And so I feel even the people that I interview, I'm meant to meet them and interview them for a reason. So I'm blessed to have met you and had this experience with you.
Right. Anyway, well, thank you for having me today. It was an honor. And I guess we'll stay in touch. We got to find out what's going to go on. I may need some real advice sometime. You'll have to look right through me and tell me, yes, you're going to make $1 million. You're going to win the lottery. Ooh, just think if psychics could figure out the lottery numbers. Obviously they can't.
I know. Or if we could go back in time.
Yes, I would rather go back in time than go ahead. I feel very.
Me too.
I love the way I grew up. I didn't have to worry about anything. My mom said, come home before it's dark. That was it. I was gone from 4 years old on.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy to even think about that these days? You can't even think about that.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I love it.
Great. And would you just, if you don't mind, just hanging out for a little bit? I'm going to send everybody away, and then I'm going to talk to you briefly, if you don't mind.
Okay. I absolutely.
If you like listening to this week's episode and you're into all things paranormal, check out my other show, Eleanor Wagner's Creepin' It Real, podcast out of the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network, picked up on YouTube, Eleanor Wagner, and available wherever you get your podcasts. And if any of you are interested in reading any of my books, you can find the links to them on my website, authoreleanorwagner.com. I write about the history of the town and location, add the paranormal story to the mix, and finish it all off with photos and evidence.
Ghostly listeners, you can follow me on my website, authoreleanorwagner.com, where there are links to my books and video updates and photographs from all the investigations. Thank you, paranormal enthusiasts, for tuning in today. I hope you'll come back again. Remember to tap into your own gifts. Everyone has them. And in the meantime, make sure you're creeping it real.